On today's episode, I want to talk about food guilt, meaning other people's perception and comments of what you should and shouldn't eat. So stay tuned. Welcome to Stop Binging and Start Living. And from the title, this is exactly what I'm going to be helping you through this series in this podcast, through nourishment, movement, and mindset. Because when you understand where these habits are coming from and how to actually create a change, a positive change for the long term, you can start living your life today by creating a life free from binge eating. So I am so excited to have you here, and let's dive into today's episode. So this episode just got inspired by a post over on social media where I shared me eating a piece of steak and somebody mentioning that I should not be eating meat and other things that I will spare people on this episode. So if you're listening in or you're watching over on YouTube, make sure to follow and subscribe, because my aim in today's episode is to really share with you the freedom that we need to seek in terms of our own life, and as well how we can actually push aside other people's beliefs and perception of what you should and shouldn't do. And why do I talk about food so often? It's because for the past 22 years, I've been helping clients around their nourishment, their fitness, and their mindset as a health and wellness coach. And it's all about creating an aligned plan that fits the person and not the person fitting a plan, because otherwise it's just those mass diets where everybody goes into it and then everybody fails, not because they're failing, it's because the diet is not made for them. And the way that I help my clients create change and shift their lifestyle and their health and their binge eating and their relationship with food by actually understanding how they should eat for their body, to listen to their intuition, to listen to what actually their cravings are, and better understand what works the best for them by doing some trial and error. But I've done so many of these, so very often we do a health plan together and then everything falls into place. Help them better understand that they need to eat differently than their sibling or their friend or their partner or their parents or their coworkers, because everybody, when it comes to food, comes to fitness, and comes to mindset, it is all personal. So let me share with you a little bit of a backstory that inspired today's episode. So in the past week, actually, I'll go in terms of in the middle of April, I went to a 1-week yoga retreat. If you know yoga and you know retreats, I went to Yoga Shivananda, which is actually in the Bahamas. Not too shabby to go to the Bahamas to actually have amazing classes on the beach. And with the lifestyle of Shivananda, it is a vegan vegetarian lifestyle. So they do have some cheese and some yogurt and some milk, but it's a lot of vegetables and beans and a lot of beans. So I went there and I followed their philosophy, doing the 2 yoga classes every single day, eating their vegan vegetarian meals, doing the meditations, and just enjoying amazing daily walks on the beach. And it was really in a dream setting. Make sure that you come in over on Instagram. I actually have a highlight about my Bahamas trip, shows you in terms of like how beautiful it is. But the reason why I'm sharing this is because I am in this amazing place, training, moving, meeting amazing people, eating wholesome food in a certain way. But I did not feel at my best physically. And I knew why I did not feel at my best, because I have, through the years, better understood what my body needs, what my body doesn't need, what actually helps it be optimal, and what actually drags it down. And I know for me, genetically, my body needs animal protein. Even though for a while, I tried to be vegan, I tried to be vegetarian, and I just did not feel good. I was exhausted, I was tired, I was pale, I even took supplements, nothing was working. And then when I went back to having animal protein, it's like color came back to my face and my energy went back up. So coming back from the trip, I went back to my regular eating program, if I can say that, of having the eggs, the meat, the chicken, the fish in appropriate amounts that actually fit what my body needs. So with all the years, I know what my body needs. And as all of my clients, look with them what their body needs, because every person is different. And think about it. When you look at the Asian culture, they have like 2-3 cups of rice, breakfast, lunch, and dinner sometimes, and they're perfectly fine with this. But if you give this to somebody who is North American, who is more like Inuit or from the north, their genetic, if they have this much carb, they're going to develop diabetes. They need a more protein and fat type of diet. So think about the genetics. It actually dictates how we should be eating to be at our optimal level. So it's all about the variety understanding with certain moments of deviating from that because we're humans and we want to enjoy the human experience of all the variety of food that we have. So we also have to respect that. And the reason why I'm sharing this today is because I shared in one of my stories, as I'm recording these podcasts, I was cooking myself a steak before embarking and recording my podcast today. And somebody made a comment that I should not be eating meat and, whatever else they might be saying in terms of animal health and rights and all that. And I kind of look at this comment and I'm like, I wrote, you're allowed to share what you want to share. We also have to respect that people's needs are very different from person to person. And I understand sometimes from an ethical perspective, we might feel sometimes guilty or we're wanting to be a change in terms of not having the animal products. And I've had some clients as well that come to me and they're like, I know my body craves the meat, but I would like to become more vegan, vegetarian. And again, I embark and I help my clients creating that balance that actually fits with them. But through all this whole process is actually understanding to make sure that whatever we are doing in terms of a changing of our eating is not impacting our body in a negative way and finding a good middle ground. And this is where lifestyle is. That's why kind of this podcast episode is coming a bit differently than all the other ones, but it can actually have such a big impact in terms of what you're going through. Because as we're going through social media, what people are telling us, there's all these do's and don'ts. Eat this, don't eat that. Eat organic, don't eat organic. Eat whole food, don't eat processed. So we have all these do's and don'ts, right? And it kind of creates all these beliefs, all these thoughts, making us sometimes feel guilty about what we're eating. And what happens when we feel guilty? Emotional distress. What happens when we have emotional distress? We might turn to food to calm that emotional distress, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Some clients want to stop eating the dairy products. They want to stop eating the animal products for ethical rights. And again, whatever decision you have in terms of wanting to eat certain things or not eating certain things, it's really a personal choice. We also have to remember that whatever we choose as a personal choice, we should not be imposing it on somebody else. So if you're creating kind of this change and you want to kind of have a more impactful health and you want to look at your nutrition, but as well, you're struggling with binge eating, stress eating, and emotional eating, you also want to make sure that you're doing things step by step. When you try to do it all and change it all, we end up doing nothing and changing nothing because we're creating such a change so fast and we're not able to actually assimilate it. So whenever we're creating a change, and let's say you do want to become vegan and vegetarian, and that is okay. And let's say you still want to keep eating meat, that is okay. It's more understanding what can I do right here, right now to take care of my physical body and my environmental factors to help me create a healthy relationship with all foods. And then when I feel good and balanced and calm, then I can create a change if I want to change certain food groups in my eating ways. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It is okay to get that. However, sometimes we are struggling with our eating habits and we want to kind of go drastic and go the whole other way. And that can actually be defeating the purpose of you creating a positive change. And going vegan, vegetarian is not necessarily healthier for everybody. I was 1 week on the beach. I had amazing food. I was pumped with vitamins and minerals and vitamin D and vitamin C from the ocean. CSEA, just to rectify that. But my body did not feel at its best. And I know my body. And I knew when I was going to come back here, I was going to go back to an eating pattern that helps me be at my best. Because for me to be at my best, I need to make sure that I am nourishing my body, mind, and soul in a certain way to be able to be at my best here for you, my audience, but as well for my clients and my friends and my family. And if you're in this state, and the reason why I want to talk about this here is because a lot of my clients come in terms of people's perception, ethical reasons to eat meat or not to eat meat, whole foods, and nothing processed. Remember, when we start the healing process with our eating habits and having all these do's and don'ts, we will never going to be able to get through that healing process. We need to really take a step back, kind of put our blinders on and follow one person that actually gives you that openness that all foods can be part of healthy living. All fitness activities can be part of healthy living. It is all about creating that awareness to tune in to better understand what optimizes your body to be at its best. And this is by creating a baseline. With my clients, I create a baseline. I call it the health map. We create kind of a baseline to get their body back on track, to get rid of the starvation that they're maybe having through their food choices. We look at their sleep, we look at the fitness, we look at their mindset, we look at so many different things that we create kind of like a baseline, like a nice comfort cushion for them to kind of sit into it, feel good in it, and then starting to see the stress eating, emotional eating, binge eating kind of like start dissipating. And then when they feel good and they're on solid ground, then it's their choice. If they want to go, if they want to change a certain eating lifestyle, fitness lifestyle, we're good. But here is the thing. When you're good, eating a little bit of everything and feeling good with all foods, you don't need to have to change anything to become a better and healthier person. Health is not necessarily what you are eating. It's what and how and why. And the reason why I'm sharing with this as well today is that you're going to have a lot of people around you telling you what you should and what you shouldn't do. People are like, oh, she became vegan. Like I saw once a coach that was promoting veganism as a treatment for binge eating. No. And somebody else was intermittent fasting to treat binge eating. No. You want to heal your binge eating. And there isn't one way that fits for everybody. There's only the way that is connected to you. And to understand that process, working with somebody who has more of an open mind that can guide you through it. And that's why my approach with all my clients, even with myself, I always have an open mind. I'm there to see where the client is, where to bring them. But I'm not imposing anything. We cannot impose one way of change. We need to guide our clients through the process. And that's why when I'm guiding my clients, we have the health map. We create a lot of different changes. We bring more awareness. So they're creating that change as we're moving forward. But the aim is that my client is in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat. And then I'm in the back seat. Then hopefully I'm not in the car anymore. And the client is driving freely to their destination. The coach, the person should never be in the driver's seat and the client in the passenger seat. Never. It's always the client in the passenger seat. So whatever you're hearing people tell you what you should, what you shouldn't do, and you're struggling with your relationship with food, so always make sure that you're putting your blinders on. Making sure that you're following somebody, you're working with somebody, getting that support to help you as you have your blinders on, how to keep the pace as you're driving your health forward. And you might get triggered from people saying things around you. Like that message I got, I'm looking, I was like, oh my, why did I write this story? And I was like, you know what? I had this, like, I eat meat. I eat. I respect my body. I understand what it needs. But attacking people through comments is not helpful. And people around you, if they're attacking you or making any comment that is making you feel uncomfortable, blinders on, because they don't know what you need. They are doing things according to their beliefs and their perception. It doesn't mean they're right. There is no absolute truth. It's only you understanding what is aligned to you, and it's for them to follow what's aligned to them. Because not one plan is good for everybody. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. Otherwise, we'll all be eating the exact same way. Remember the example that I said, when you look at the Asian population and the Native Americans, different genetics, different types of eating. If you switch up their eating, they would both be miserable. And also their health would be impacted. So you need to respect you. You need to respect the type of eating, type of lifestyle that you want to create. And as well, if you want to be, creating like the whole foods and vegan, vegetarian, it is okay. But remember, you have to start where you are. You have to start with a baseline. You have to start with simplicity that helps you release the binge eating, stress eating, emotional eating. Really bring all that calmness down, understand what is actually triggering all these habits. And when you create that calmness, then you can go to the next step and create changes in what foods you choose to have. One thing at a time. But to create that one thing at a time, blinders on from everybody else around. So we'll see what that person will comment again. But I shared my truth with that person, short and sweet. If ever there's any other comments coming in, I'm just going to stop the conversation, because my aim is not to talk to people that don't have the same philosophy as me or convince people. My work, my mission here is to share with you my truth, what has worked for me and my clients. And if it resonates with you, I am so happy that you're here. If it doesn't resonate with you, again, put your blinders and find somebody that actually resonates with. Time is so precious. Time disappears. We can never get back our time. So make sure that whatever you are doing is helping you become a better person aligned to your own values and beliefs. And this is how you can actually have an amazing life, embody your best life, but also help you stop binging and start living. So on that note, I would love to know any comments you have right below if you're watching on YouTube. What did people tell you? What are your main takeaways of today's training? And again, don't forget to follow and subscribe and give me a thumbs up here if you're watching this video. So on that note, I wish you a beautiful and a balance of any food you want type of day. Dina Mayer be here, and I'll catch you in the next training.